Greetings, everyone. Welcome to the Nerdrotic Nooner. Again, going in dry, going in cold, however you want to put it. We're just going on.
Dry.
It seems like our hump days are always busy. So we're starting early because we got a hard out. Oh, that sounds bad too. Because I've got to be somewhere. I'll tell you where in a second. And it's the same place that Garrett has to be, and that's why he's not here. But we'll tell you that in just a moment. Welcome, Chris Gore from Film Threat. How are you, my friend?
I'm doing great. I'm ecstatic to be here on a Wednesday talking to you. This is fun. I like early. Let's do this.
Let's do this. Yeah. I'm fine with early too. Especially I have 3/4 of my House of the Dragon review done. That's what I was doing last night. Today so I sent it to Perry and I don't know when I'll finish it. After this or tonight after I do my thing. So yeah, I'm gonna be on InfoWars today at 3:30 with Chrissy Mayer and Quarterback Garrett. That's where I'm gonna be. I got to drive up to Austin, the place I did not want to move because it's San Francisco light. So I can't wait. I'll drive up and I'll leave immediately. That's what I'm doing later. But we're here to talk about giant corporations and their lies, and also the Rings of Power and the House of the Dragon. Maybe a little She-Hulk if we got time. But some numbers got bandied about over the last couple of days. We talked about them a lot yesterday, and hey, I don't take corporations. I don't take what they say at face value if it's for something I like or don't like, because they have no obligation to tell us the truth. There is no law. Now, I don't think they come out and straight up lie. I think what they do is embellish. I lost Chris. Where'd he go? He'll come back. I think they embellish. I think they fudge. I think they exaggerate. I got you, Chris.
Yeah. Sorry, Gary. I don't know what happened. Sorry about that. Yeah.
I'm just saying, I think companies come right up to the step of lying and then maybe step over a little bit. I mean, technically it's a lie. When you omit the truth, when you embellish, when you exaggerate, it's still a lie. Sorry, Spock. It's still a lie. So 25 million people sampled the Rings of Power, and maybe they did, like, worldwide. I mean, it's a believable number. It's certainly a believable number worldwide. I don't know the exact number of Prime Video subscribers. There's a lot. But it's just weird that that's the exact same number that the House of the Dragon had for its first week, its premiere episode for its first week here in the United States. Isn't that like the weirdest coincidence that they're the exact same number?
It's weird. It's weird.
It's weird. I'm surprised. Like Amazon didn't go 25.5 million people sampled our show.
Well, you've heard that old saying, like, the first liar doesn't stand a chance. So if you lie first and say, hey, it's 25 million, I mean, Amazon could just come in and say, well, it's 26. We had 26. So whatever. But I've never believed these streaming numbers because they're coming from the companies. It's like we've done an investigation of ourselves and we've come to this conclusion. Box office, I think, is fairly reliable. The systems have been in place for a long time. The box office reporting. But streaming numbers, there's not been a real consistent way to get real numbers, especially when it's coming from the companies themselves. They can report it, but I don't know. I just highly doubt it. And also, there are all sorts of ways to fudge the numbers, as you pointed out. Sampled is one thing. A lot of times, there's like someone pointed out, it might have been Ryan too, that there's like an autoplay. Like if you just go to Prime Video, like it's the top thing and it just plays whether you want to see it or not, if you're on the screen for a particular amount of time. So he'll correct me if I'm.
Yeah, if you hover over, that happens on YouTube now. If you hover over the video, it starts playing. You can't hear it. Do they count that?
Right.
They count embedded views on. That's why on a lot of these trailers, you'll see like millions of views and like, wow, the interaction's not really there. It's because it's embedded on a website. It's a way to fudge views, I guess we could do it. If I would never want to do that though. If it ain't real, it ain't real. If it ain't real, it ain't real. But we are in the world of make believe. So, again, they're not obligated to tell us the truth. And I understand that. I understand marketing. I just don't know if this works anymore. It still feels like, even though they're doing it with the modern digital age, it still feels like an archaic thing for a company to never admit its flaws, its failures. And we're just it's like the coach in the sports ball that says, we're going to go with what got us here, even though it's clearly not working anymore. Right. So like after 2 episodes, it's obvious these are the wrong people in charge. You need to clean house and you need to fix this like now, or you're in for a very long, disastrous, downward spiral that's going to cost you a lot of money. They're obligated for 5 seasons. Now they could cut it off and just pay the Tolkien estate. They're going to get their money anyway. I don't necessarily see that happening. I mean, they've really run out there and committed to 5. It's a ballsy move. And wow, this is an abysmal failure. Like this might dethrone Game of Thrones season 8 as like the biggest failure in television.
It could, but like, is Jeff Bezos gonna actually admit that failure? Is he gonna cut his losses? Is he gonna look at? I mean, it's getting the Elon Musk tweet was hilarious.
Yeah,
like that was so great that he said that. It's just bizarre. I just don't know at what point do they say, hey, we cannot afford this? And if what they've reported on the budget is true, it's almost twice as much as every episode of House of the Dragon.
It's over twice as much. House of the Dragon was 20 million an episode. I thought it was 30, but it was 20. And this is 60 or 58 to 60 million an episode. And they're already in $1 billion. Already in $1 billion.
I don't know. All I can say is this: whenever I see a budget like that, but it's not on the screen, because I really believe that looking at House of the Dragon, 20 million, that seems reasonable based on the talent. There's recognizable. Who was it that pointed it out? It might have been Chato. Paul Chato, Call Me Chato, his channel. He was saying, why do you do a series this big and there's not one recognizable actor? All character actors.
Because they couldn't get them. They all left.
Oh, really?
So there was lots of rumors that Russell Crowe was going to play Elendil. And I don't but Will Porter was Elrond for a long time, and he left the project.
Wow.
And he looks like a young Elrond. Like, and he left the project like 2 years ago. So they had a bunch of stars. I would say 4 or 5 leave the projects.
Wow. Wow. That's bizarre. But like, at least, you look at House of the Dragon, like, my God, like Matt Smith is he's freaking awesome. That last episode was insanely good. I really liked it. I like where it's going. I like, House of the Dragon has been appointment television for me. I don't know. The 3rd episode of Rings of Power is it Thursday at 6? Is that what it is?
Rings of Power is now Friday morning at midnight. That's what it's going to be dropping at. We'll get back to these ratings in a second, but I did want to share this with you because it's been so long. I think a lot of people just forgot.
Right.
Yeah, this was supposed to be Elrond.
Oh, wow. Oh, yeah. Man.
That was supposed to be Elrond, and he left.
Damn. But yeah, like Chato pointed out, like, how come you put all this money into a series and not one recognizable star actor? Like, it's all like, to me, like, look, character actors, sure, but wow, what a mixed bag.
Morphin Clark, she isn't drawing you in.
No, oh my God. Oh, she's the worst. She's so she's terrible.
She's objectively terrible in it. If people are liking it, okay, but I that's as bad of a performance as I've seen since Sonequa Martin Green's Michael Burnham.
Oh yeah.
Wooden and like saccharine. And is it the writing? Sure. The writing is so piss poor. I don't think anybody can do much with any of it, but it's pretty bad.
It's worse since Brie Larson, in my opinion. I mean, Brie Larson was just awful.
I think Morphin Clark is horribly miscast. She is not ethereal or like she's cute. I'm sorry, but like if you're gonna cast Galadriel, like Kate Blanchett, fucking 10. She's a 10. You don't cast 7. You just don't. Just like you wouldn't cast me as Jaime Lannister. All right, I understand my place in the world. So she's not. For one, she's shorter than everybody. Galadriel are the rings of empowerment. Somebody called that yesterday. I thought that was great. Yeah, she's supposed to be 6'4". She's supposed to be 6'4", the most athletic of all the female elves. Although, what's a female elf? You tell me. I don't know. I'm not an elven biologist. But so according to Samba TV, now we're going to focus on percentages, right? This is like a barometer of how many people watched. According to Samba, this is through Roku. Everybody's talked about this, including our boy Ryan, baby boy Ryan. So this is people streaming it through their TVs, which is how I watch it, right? So I watch it through Roku, unless I'm watching something on my computer. That's a shared password or other means, which we won't say. It had 1.8 million people watching, and this is over the first 4 days. So I'm guessing all the other 23.2 million people were watching it on their PCs. Now,
yeah, that's weird.
Samba can't track PCs. I'm sure a lot of people watched it on their PCs. We're not saying it's only 1.8 million. But House of the Dragon was 4.8 million during the same time period, during 4 days, their first 4 days. So more than double the viewers. So if we extrapolate that out to the real world and to the rest of the numbers, that's probably pretty close to how what the difference is everywhere else. I think that's pretty safe to assume. Not completely scientific, but we can be nice and say maybe House of the Dragon only had twice the viewers, but that would mean that 50 million people sampled House of the Dragon during this. It's bullshit. It's bullshit. So almost more than twice as many people watch House of the Dragon during the premiere of the Rings of Power, and I can believe that. I could totally believe that. Will we ever get the truth? No. And as I've said before, these streaming, as Chris just said, these streaming services have no obligation to tell us. And the reason they don't tell us is because the numbers are astronomically low. We got a tweet. I got to find the tweet yesterday. Found out a little something about publishing. Now, this is something I've known forever because I sold comic books. But there is a lawsuit. I think it's Penguin is in a lawsuit. Hit some discovery. And believe me, this relates to this. And they found out like how many graphic novels actually sell to people. They had to give up that number. And of the 58,000, out of the 58,000 that are on their list, more than half only sell a dozen copies.
A dozen total?
Comic book graphic novels. So there's 58, there's tons of titles, but more than half only sell a dozen copies or under, a lot of times under. Shit, they're just been fudging the numbers forever. The numbers have been fudged. They have been lying. And that's why they keep this under wraps, because quite frankly, The people go to streaming services. They're watching like reruns of The Office, of Seinfeld. That's the shit that gets watched the most. Friends. It's not these $10 million, $60 million an episode fantasy thing. So this is unsustainable. This is absolutely unsustainable. Jeff Bezos he bought himself another penis rocket. This is the equivalent of Jeff Bezos's penis rocket, and that's why Elon Musk roasted him. Let's be real; they don't like each other, and he roasted him, and it was funny, and I love it. I absolutely love billionaires trolling trillionaires, or trillionaires born. I don't fucking the billionaires and the trillionaires. But it doesn't really matter. Ultimately, Chris, the show sucks. The show sucks.
No, it's so funny. So my girlfriend and I, we watched new House of the Dragon on Sunday, and great episode. Stories advanced, more like just like I love it. I just like it's even the scenes that could be considered slow moving, something happens in them. Then I'm like, hey, do you want to see the new Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power, right? And she loved those original 3 movies, the Peter Jackson movies. I said, we'll watch a little bit of it. And after a while, she was so confused. She goes, I can't keep watching this. We shut it off after like 20, 30 minutes. She was just like, I can't finish it. She just didn't. She was like, I'm not like, who is she? Like she kept asking questions, which she didn't ask any questions during House of the Dragon. It's just like everything is pretty, it's pretty simple, just easier to follow. This is like people just talking around stuff. Like the dialogue is so overwritten, not just bad, but overwritten. Like every scene is twice as long as it should be. You could literally, a good editor, even a not too competent editor, could go in and recut the first episode of the Rings of Power, cut the screen time in half, and you would change nothing.
Mm-hmm.
You would all the same events occur, but you would cut to the chase. It really struck me because over the weekend I was so pissed off about Rings of Power. I was just like, I haven't watched, like in 3 years, I haven't watched Peter Jackson's trilogy, right? So started watching it. Holy shit, is it like in contrast? It's all it did was make me want to watch it more. And I'm watching this speech with Sam at the end of Two Towers, right? He gives this speech about hope, and it's very positive speech. We got to keep going. He's trying to build Frodo up. Like, we got to do this. We got to do this, man. Come on. And I got like emotional watching it because I thought like, not just, well, 2 things. One, it's a great scene. You know what I'm talking about. And Two Towers is so epic. Like some of the shots where like the ladders are going up on oh my God. It's just, I mean, you gasp when you see some of the imagery in that, of the battles, but that speech at the end just got to me mainly because I thought, oh, we're never going to have something like this again. When you see someone like Jack Posobiec, tweet something like, this is what they took from us. This is what I think, right? Like they took entertainment, they took, and you've talked about this for, a long time. Like they've taken entertainment and I think normies are noticing, right? Like normies are just like, I mean, when you look at like Top Gun Maverick, which was #1 at the box office this past weekend, it was #1 Memorial Day weekend and #1 Labor Day weekend. That's significant. And then the continuing to release classic movies that are doing well. E.T., Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan comes out this weekend. Like, it's crazy the number of classic films that are being re-released in theaters in IMAX, and then Hollywood's got nothing to show for it. What, they got Black Adam coming out? Like,
Wakanda Forever?
Wakanda Forever will do well. Yeah, no.
Still the first weekend. I maybe it will. I don't trust anything. It doesn't hook me in because I don't know who the main character is. They gave us a trailer and we don't know who the main character is of the movie. Is it Namor? Right. And Namor doesn't look anything like Namor. He doesn't have a swimmer's body either.
Yeah,
The whole time.
Yeah, he's a little doughy, but
he's a little doughy. And I thought Namor was more Asian, personally.
Yeah, I thought so too. I thought sort of Asian, more like he looks like Spock a little bit. He's got some Spock going there. Like, I don't know, like whatever. I just I mean, I'll go see it, but I to me, if Chadwick Boseman is just gonna, what are they gonna use some old footage at least at the beginning? Are they to explain how? Because clearly he's no longer around. So how did that happen? Are they going to use? Now they have these voice things where they can take someone's voice, samples of their voice, and just completely recreate through AI someone's voice. So is that what they do in the suit?
I have no idea. And keeping it a mystery is utterly stupid. I don't understand how they're doing it. But yeah, sure, it'll do well. I have no doubt. Black Adam looks like just a generic 2005 superhero movie, which might not be a bad thing, but I'm not excited about it.
No, same here. I mean, The Rock is The Rock in every movie. He's not an actor. He is a personality. Like there are other actors like that. Like George Clooney is pretty much always George Clooney. He can't be anything other than George Clooney, which is fine. I like George Clooney. I like The Rock, but as Black Adam, that just seems like that's a hard pass for me.
And then there's Avatar.
Avatar, I think, is going to do well. I think it's going to surprise people.
It's going to make a ton of money, and I'll probably hate it.
Yeah, you'll probably hate it, but it's going to be number one at the box office for a long time. I mean, it's not Shazam. It's like the closest thing that was in competition with that in December.
They moved it.
Yeah,
they delayed them again. So, yeah, I think that's also why I guess people are watching a lot of TV. I mean, TV's outshining the movies now. It's all shit, but we have House of the Dragon, Andor, She-Hulk, and Rings of Power running right now. And in a perfect world, we'd all be excited about. Remember, if we 10 years ago, there's a fucking She-Hulk show, there's a Rings of Power, Lord of the Rings, a Game of Thrones spinoff, a Star Wars show. What? We'd all be excited. How times have changed.
It's so true. It's so true. And I don't know, what I'm hearing about Andor is not looking. I
got a video yesterday.
Oh, no.
9 people have made videos on it already. Let's watch it. We'll get back to this. We're gonna get back to this. No longer pushed on Prime in New Zealand. Yeah, it's not on a banner anymore, and it's like 2 rows down, which is surprising. Like your $1 billion show, you think just keep it on the Prime banner for the next 2 months. I don't understand. It's almost disposable. And real quick, I kind of feel bad for Morford Clark. She's trying to fill Cate Blanchett's shoes, and she hasn't the chops with $1 billion. They couldn't cast a 1A-list actress. No, because they're committed to 5 years. So I guess that had a lot to do with what kind of talent they were getting. They probably had to pay her a lot too. 10 euros. Thank you very much, Ryan. Other Ryan. Here, let's see if I can find this. Give me just a moment, Chris.
All right.
Let's see if I can find it. It was sent to me by Raging Rhino. Thanks, Raging Rhino.
And I think about Linda Hamilton.
Oh, stop. You're starting too soon. Here we go.
In the Schwarzenegger film, in Terminator. I think for me, seeing those strong female characters play in a physical way is important. It was important for me, and it continues to be important. And what is great about Andor is the amount of female characters, the amount of female voices, and the diversity within the cast, so that hopefully many young girls and young boys can see themselves on screen. I think about Princess Leia in Return of the Jedi.
That is literally the script for every actor doing interviews now. That is just repeating every bullet point. Diversity. It's just so funny. Like I was talking to Alan Ng, who's the editor in chief of Film Threat. He says whenever they mean diversity, it's never Asians. It's like never. Alan is Asian, and he's just like, oh, they always forget us. It's like, yeah.
We're talking about that with the Rings of Power. They're talking about we're like, where's the Latinos? Where's the Asians? They could only do one race at a time, apparently, in Hollywood.
Yeah. Well, there was an Asian soldier in there was an Asian in House of the Dragon. One of the warriors.
Well, they account for that. Those are sellswords and foot soldiers. And they could be from Essos. I mean, that they completely account for that. I know great. It's Essos, Westeros, Essos. That's why we call it Planetos. And Tolkien accounts for that too. He does. In the Race of Men, he does. So it's really bizarre. And you're right, it's a script, dude. It's just a script. It's I saw an ESG commercial before Spider-Man No Way Home.
Really?
I did.
What was the commercial?
It was in the Cinemark, Regal near my house, and it was talking about diversity and inclusion in Hollywood, and there was a couple of people talking. I couldn't get my camera up to snap a picture quick enough, but right below their name it said ESG director and ESG. They had titles. They had ESG titles. And I'm like, what the fuck is this? So I'll find it. I'll find the commercial. I just got to remember it.
Give me Nicole Kidman sitting in her seat and talking about how movies are great.
Yeah.
Like the AMC commercial. But that stuff, I mean, what's weird about creating a job like that is that you're just someone looking for a problem. You're going to find problems within the organization to justify your position.
Your existence. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like any government agency, right? The point of the agency is to be relevant. If you no longer need it, then, go away. Oh God, all these.
I know.
Yeah.
I long for the day where I get like what's been nice. Why I'm going to. I'm just doing it because it's like a respite, dude. It's like an oasis. I'm like, we're going to talk about House of the Dragon. It is not the greatest thing since sliced bread.
Right.
I am fully aware that it's like an oasis in a desert of shit, but the writing is good. This last episode was the best of the series. Every minute counted. They did things like showed you things and didn't tell you things. Did you know King Viserys lost 2 fingers? We didn't know, but they showed it to you when he's drinking his cup. And I'm like, oh shit, he's missing 2 fingers. Did you know that they crawled his hairline back about an inch? Because I'm watching it on this big screen, right? So his hairline was down here. Now it's probably up where mine is, and he's about my age. At this point, he's getting close to my age. And that's a little fucking detail to show you time has passed. Plus the pregnant women.
Right.
Helps too. But they don't need to go, this is King Viserys. He has now lost 2 fingers and his hairline has gone back and he's put on more weight and he's drinking more. And it looks like he's a little ill, Now they called back on something from the first episode that you had to remember, the bad humors from the little hole in his back. There's an infection running through his body. And when he's killing the buck, I even had to ask because I didn't catch it the first time. And Shad caught it. I'm like, man, it looked like he didn't want to kill that buck. He was having a hard time. Was he hungover? Did he not want to kill it? And Shad's all, no, he's sick. He's sick. And then we kind of figured out it's all 3 of those things. He didn't want to kill the buck. When faced with killing the buck, he just didn't want to do it. And not a word of dialogue was spoken. And I'm like, and it's a simple thing. It's things we got used to and took for granted. And now they do that in that little scene. In the first 3 minutes of House of the Dragon, the last episode, Second Sons, they progress the story more with 3 characters in a 3-minute span than Rings of Power did in 2 fucking hours. I shit you not.
It's true.
It's crazy. They established within the first 3 minutes that Rhaenyra and Alicent are still icy, but they're talking to each other. Viserys is clearly still frustrated with Rhaenyra. The war in the Stepstones is going bad. Otto Hightower is talking to his brother, is manipulating him as well. They're both being manipulative to put Aegon on the throne. Like, this all happens in 3 minutes, all of it, and it's cool. And you see that it's not Tywin. Tylan Lannister is now the master of ships, and it's no longer Corlys Velaryon. And we assume time has passed. So all that happens in the first few minutes. And there's just a lot of show and not tell. There's a lot of scenes. Matt Damon Targaryen doesn't speak a line of dialogue at the end.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. Like, it's different from the original Game of Thrones, where things moved purposefully slow, which was fine. It was, the pacing was, by design and worked, and each episode would kind of pick up where it left off. The time jumps between episodes, I'm loving, and the fact that so much happens. I feel that must have been a discussion with I hate that the little tags at the end of that 10-minute, like, I still watch them, but I'm like, I kind of groan a little bit watching those. But I really feel that must have been a conscious choice to say, we're moving this show along. We're not pussyfooting around. Shit's going to happen, and it's going to happen quickly. So
that's what Game of Thrones later on got smaller. And I know, but budgets went up and everything. Yeah, but it got smaller. We stopped seeing other kingdoms, other castles, other lords. We lost those scenes where they're sitting. You know what? They're sitting in the big tent in the Kingswood in this episode, and we see the Lady Lannister, the Lady Redwine, a bunch of houses. We get to see House Strong for the first time, a house that's not around in Game of Thrones. We see different Lannisters, and that's going to be interesting, seeing different houses with different personalities in them, that houses you recognize, but like they might not be necessarily evil, or the house that you liked before might be evil in this one. That's interesting. It's at least interesting.
Yeah.
And also they have solved the Westeros Express issue. As you said, time jumps. That's all you need to do. Instead of having people just, buzz around Westeros in ungodly amounts of time, or running back to the wall, sending a raven down what would basically be sending a raven from Tijuana to the tip of South America and then back. It's like, it's ridiculous. So they kind of solved that, I think. And we'll see where it goes. Again, it doesn't have the scope that Game of Thrones had because it's missing the White Walkers, but we see the weirwood tree again, which makes me think that's going to come up later. Showing it once would be like fan service, Easter egg, blah, blah, blah. But they show it again. It's like, that's coming up later. So we'll see what they change. But yeah, I think it's all right. Rings of Power, real quick. Back to that god awful mess. I just like seeing this, because you come out with 25 million and then Samba's like, it's 1.8, and it's battling headlines. Okay, not many people read past. So of course 99% of you understand that this is not a full sample size of everybody who watched the Rings of Power. Could 10 million people have watched it in the United States on the first day? Sure, absolutely. But as Ryan pointed out in his video, I can't find the article, but just go watch his video later. Samba extrapolates on this. They say 1.8 million viewers through Roku and streaming on their TVs watched the first episode, and 1.3 watched the second. So it lost 25% of its viewers. All they had to do was click the next episode. Game of Thrones ticked up in the second episode, and people had to wait a week. Now, according to TV series Finale, which I just looked at, which is just terrestrial viewers, it's not HBO Max viewers, this episode did go down a little bit for House of the Dragon. But I think that might have had something to do with the second episode. Not a lot happened in it. We'll see what happens next week, because what you usually will see an uptick after a better episode. And this was clearly a better episode. Like, it was the first episode that didn't rely on Matt Smith, where shit happened beginning to end that was important. So we'll see. But yeah, it ticked down 25% on the according to Samba for the second episode of the Rings of Power. I think it's going to drop a lot more, especially since it's not going to be at a decent hour. It's going to be released at midnight, which is just stupid, just utterly stupid. Cobra Kai comes out the same fucking day, which quite frankly, I'd rather watch. And then, you're competing against this other fantasy show that's clearly getting better reviews, like from fans and critics alike. You're not seeing review bombing on House of the Dragon. The last episode damn near got a perfect rating on IMDb. Is that review bombing?
Yeah.
Whoopi said some stuff today. Let's read some super chats and we'll get to what Whoopi. How can Amazon hire good writers for The Expanse and The Terminal List, but Rings of Power be so bad? Different production companies. So Amazon, as every studio does, Chris, right? They don't make their own stuff. They hire production companies.
Right.
And I don't know who, I didn't catch the name of this production company, but it's a lot of bad reboot people.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing there's strong connections, kind of like Secret Hideout with Alex Kurtzman is a production company. Mm-hmm. But as far as I know, Bad Reboot still has some rights to Star Trek, right? The movie rights. Okay.
Movie rights. Yeah.
Yep.
Which I don't think is ever going to happen. I think that's dead. That's DOA.
Yep. So I believe, it's a production company. And they just hired the wrong production company. End of story. They made the worst possible choice they could. But I'm guessing a lot of people just didn't want to take this thing on. It's a huge commitment. I mean, like, I'm sure they would take on one season of the Rings of Power, but you're coming at a production company we're going to be locking people up for five years, or no, right. 5 seasons. Could be 7 years, could be 8 years, could be a decade. You telling me they're going to get a season out every year of this? No way. Yeah. No fucking way. And then, you're up against HBO, which has a well-oiled machine that's used to making Game of Thrones, did 10 episodes a season for 6 of them and got them out every year. Now, and House of the Dragon could go to shit. Absolutely go to shit.
It could. We've seen it happen with many shows. Starts out great and shits the bed. It happens.
Shits the bed. Pratt was a producer on The Terminal List. There you go. Thank you, Desert Fox, for $2. Hopefully we'll get a second season. I think we are. I think it's going to happen. Excuse me. Big Raj, thank you for the $1.99 Canadian super sticker. You're always here, Big Raj. We appreciate you. And welcome to the Modrotics. Welcome, everybody. I usually do my welcome. We had to kind of skip past that. I'm sorry. I apologize. Hey, Whoopi Goldberg, let's talk about Rings of Power.
That's where I go for my entertainment news.
I wonder if I can show this video. Who are these? The Hill?
The Hill. Yeah, it's a YouTube channel, news channel.
I don't think they'll mind.
Yeah, her clip is right at the beginning, and then they go off into this bizarre discussion. I don't even know if you probably don't want to watch any of that. But Whoopi is pretty funny. She's the lofty pixels of The View.
I think they're all the lofty pixels, right? I mean,
right.
But the lofty, no.
Lofty, who's been on, like, it seems like I can't watch a show I normally watch without him popping up.
Yeah, he's gotten a lot of exposure lately. Good for him.
Yeah. Well, I look forward to seeing him on Friday, Gary.
You'll be seeing Disparu and Melanie Mack.
Okay, good.
Great.
Controlling the chat for sure. I'm sure.
Oh yeah, come in. My chat will take care of him.
Yeah.
Jonathan Thill for 10 Canadian pesos. IRT Andor. When only thing that the PR team is focused on is diversity, you know the show is going to be shit sandwich with the side of the message. Yep. Speaking of the message, I'm going to make a brief appearance on Open Bar tomorrow.
Sweet.
Here we go. Okay, so let's see what we got here. Oh shit, I did it again. Sorry. So you won't get echo.
Right.
You won't get the echo. I need to uncheck that.
But that Jonathan Thill's comment is like, that's it. When that is the one aspect of the show that you're pushing, it's a bad show. You don't, things can just be organically diverse and it's fine. When you point it out, it's like telling everyone, hey, look at all this money I gave to charity. It's a bullshit virtue signal. And that doesn't equate quality entertainment. So Jonathan, spot on in that comment.
Spot on, sir. Thank you for the 10 Canadian pesos. Zatras. No one listens to Zatras. For 30 euros. To me, an example of a great actor working with a really bad writing is Joey Beatty playing Jaskier in The Witcher. He improves just about half of each scene. He loves the books and is a talented nerd. Graham McTavish in his little brief moments in The Witcher was fucking great. Graham McTavish is awesome. He's in Game of Thrones too. And so is Henry Cavill. It's just everything else. And man, that second season was bad. It was bad. And quite frankly, they have the wrong showrunner. They don't have somebody who's very strong in fantasy, right? They have the framework, but they're leaning into their message and all this other shit. And we just need people who know what the fuck they're doing, maybe have a background in reading a fantasy book once in a while. And I just find it very hard to believe that the showrunner read Robert E. Howard or, I just find it hard to believe.
Yeah.
But thank you, Satras. All right, here we go.
The View's Whoopi Goldberg, star of my favorite movie, Bane of Progressives Everywhere, slammed critics of Amazon's new series, The Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power. Let's listen.
I want to start by saying these are not real, okay? The new Lord of the Rings series, The Rings of Power, and Game of Thrones prequel, House of the Dragon, are both massive.
She can't even say the titles. Now, okay, The Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power is a bad title. It's terrible.
Yeah, it's bad.
But they don't exist in the real world, okay? There are no dragons, there are no hobbits, you know that. And there are critics who are saying they were too woke by adding diverse characters. Are you telling me black people can't be fake people too?
Yeah.
They have been. The whole time. They have been. But when we have a specific fandom that's used to say, and by the way, they can be in the show too. Nobody said that. And this is the conflation that they always bring up. The diversity casting was a red flag for what kind of story we were going to get, what they were going to be willing to subvert and pervert. When it plays out in the screen, do you hear anybody really complaining about Corlys Valerian other than that wig looks stupid? But whatever. I said it doesn't bother me that much because I know George accounts for it in the world, and a very easy explanation for House of the Dragon is Valerian got busy with the Summer Islander. Done. It's solved. In Tolkien's Lord of the Rings, he's very specific about the look, and again, he accounted for the race of men. They can get as diverse as they want. As a matter of fact, we're in the South. We don't know how far south we are because it's a made-up world. It's a made-up town in the Rings of Power. And yeah, those are supposed to be brown people. In some cases, it depends on how far south they are. If they're closer to, say, Gondor, then no. but it just depends. They didn't explain that, but they made them like Southern English people, like American Southern English people with really heavy accents. But here we go.
Is that what you're telling me?
You can be a dragon.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if there's like a Hobbit, club. I don't know if there,
So she doesn't know if there's a Hobbit club, but I'm gonna comment fucking dick about. Okay, thanks. Whoopee.
There are going to be protests, but people, what is wrong with y'all?
Oh, this comes after Tesla CEO Elon Musk reignited his rivalry with Amazon.
I didn't read the book. I don't know a thing about it, but I'm gonna comment. I mean, that's just the view wrapped up in a little nutshell, isn't it?
That shit, none of the women on that show have any expertise in anything they comment on. It's the only reason I know that show exists is because the clips are so stupid. They go viral or end up being news stories at the just utter like misinformed takes that the women on the show have. That's a horrible. I can't imagine like watching an entire episode of that show. And so I don't know if you saw like recently, like Ron DeSantis, they invited him to be on the show and he turned them down. So why would I do that? You're just going to make me look bad. No, I'm not doing it. Like I like when he pushes back. Like
I do too. Yeah. And this is the same Whoopi who, I mean, got real close or just straight up denied the Holocaust. Kept her job. I think she was like gone for a week, took a little sabbatical. Right. Yeah. Same Whoopi. Whoopi.
Yeah, she got put in timeout. Yeah.
Yeah.
The View is just a horrible show. It's the fact that the main conceit of the show is none of them know what they're talking about. It just reminds me of certain types of people that are like that. There are a lot of them here on the West Coast, Gary, as you well know. A lot of people that don't know what the hell they're talking about or just have the approved opinion or whatever. I mean, as long as like, I don't know if you saw that, like, they sent out an alert to like everyone in California to turn your air conditioning like down or off between 4 and 9 p.m. It was an alert. I don't know how you spin that as just incompetence, do your basic job, like.
Oh, okay. Wait until they just turn it on. They turn it off for you. That's coming.
Right. No, that's what I heard is that if you've got some connected device, it's possible for them to just change the temperature and turn it off. It's horrific. Look, I don't like being here. I'm here because of family and whatnot. It would be hard. I'd have to move like 30 people if I was going to move, but it freaking sucks, man. I can't believe that guy Newsom thinks he's going to make become a politician of national prominence. I mean,
he was talking. Tim Pool pointed out that he, in his talking about the rolling blackouts, he's wearing a sweater. He's wearing a fucking sweater in the studio, and you bet your ass that dude's AC is at 74 degrees. That's all I'm saying. I left California. Like, in case you knew the channel, I lived there. I'll be talking about that on InfoWars. And I never thought I'd leave someplace for political reasons, but you're in for a tough road. No gas cars by 2028 in Los Angeles, 2034 or 5 in California. Not sure how you're going to work that out with closed nuclear power plants. Maybe those windmills and the solar panels will power your car. Good luck.
I just think that if there's a change in leadership, all of that could be reversed because that is not realistic. It's just not realistic at all.
So not realistic.
Yeah, it's stupid. And then also I love when they catch Pete Buttigieg like, okay, so if everybody gets electric cars, then what happens to the grid? Like, it's like he didn't think it through that far. It's really unbelievable, the incompetence and just like, ruling by virtue signal it's not working for sure. Especially when you see the crime in LA, which is out of control. There's literally a daily video of some insane crime being committed right out in the open. It's nuts.
And it's like, that's where we tie it into Hollywood. Like, Hollywood is being run the exact same way as the state, like ruling by signal. It's unsustainable, and we're seeing this. That's why, like, to bring it back to the Rings of Power, this like, I don't want it to fail. I don't need it to fail. I doubt Amazon will ever say it fails. I just feel vindicated after watching the first 2 episodes, and a lot of us do, because it turned out exactly like we thought we would, because it was really fucking easy to predict. After we watched what happened to Star Wars, Star Trek, Marvel Comics, DC Comics, and a bunch of sub shows like Westworld and Alter Carbon and everything I was watching, Legion, everything like drastically changed and started pushing the message, because there was a concerted effort in Hollywood to influence people, to change elections. And we were going to bake it into scripts now, because it is the most, we have to get rid of this dictator, Donald Trump. And it ruined the town. It absolutely. And you said Jack Posobiec said they got entertainment. They got it a long time ago. And there have been a lot of us trying to tell people that. And a lot of the pundits didn't think it was important. They just flat out. And a lot of the people like, it's funny, Jack Posobiec, I think he used to do Game of Thrones reviews. Like before he did the political stuff, he used to do Game of Thrones reviews. Right. So you think you understand, like, this is something we should, like, a lot of those guys should have been talking about 3 years ago. But they were like, it's just virgins in their basement playing video games and the same bullshit all nerds have heard all their fucking lives. By the way, now we have Disney Marvel calling their fans virgins, essentially, and incels again. Fucking unbelievable. So
wait, what's that story?
There was an article. One of the creators of She-Hulk, I'm gonna probably do a video on it. Basically says it's. I mean, I'm paraphrasing here. It's a slap against Disney Marvel incels, or Marvel incels. I just say Disney Marvel on habit, because Marvel doesn't exist anymore. Marvel died in 2009. So it's Disney.
I mean, we forget that I mean, Marvel's made some really good first Iron Man, Avengers, like there's a lot of good things, but boy, going into phase 4 after Spider-Man No Way Home, it's just been, or before that, Black Widow, Shang-Chi, Eternals was probably the worst, most just overtly just bad. But you could see the signs, like with Captain Marvel, that film, like, oh, what is this?
Yep.
I mean, she's such oh God, we don't need to go over that, but like, yeah, it's just disheartening to see like how dramatically it's changed. And
started with the
worst.
Yeah, started with Ant-Man and Wasp.
Mm-hmm.
The scene in Endgame, but then first full-on movie was Captain Marvel, and they repeat the same themes. There's a lot of there's little themes within a film, and those themes are repeated in every single thing they've made since Captain Marvel. Every fucking single thing. And it's tiresome. So that's why it's like, wow. All right. So the first thing they talk about with the Rings of Power is their diverse casting. And one of the first words they used to describe it in the very first sentence when they officially talked about it, which took years, by the way, is diverse. That was one of the first, I think it was like the 4th word they used when describing Tolkien's world and having it. And we were all waiting.
Diverse, you mean like they have elves and dwarves and men? That's diverse.
Yes, but they like that's how they used it. But they wanted to make sure that word was in there. That is a marketing department going, we need to have the word diverse or inclusivity in the first sentence we're going to describe, used to describe Rings of Power. Amazon has made no secret. There's a whole fucking page on their website about their diversity and inclusion initiative, which mirrors the BBC's diversity inclusion. They call it something different, but it's the same fucking thing. We are prioritizing identity over merit. And it shows. It shows. Does it mean you can't have diverse people? You just want to have the best people for the job. They don't have the best people for the job. They have the worst people for the job. So 3 years ago, I start making videos on this stuff. And I roll out that Peter Jackson clip where he's like, I didn't want to put my messages in. I want to put Tolkien's messages in. And this is an interview I remember watching live with Charlie Rose when it came out back in 2001, right? So I knew that clip was in there. So that's one of the first clips I used back in the day. And I try to put it in every other video. I haven't put it in a while. I'll probably put it in my next one again because it's that important. It shows like how far things have fallen with Hollywood. So once they showed the diverse casting, it told all of us who can think with a nuanced mind, oh shit, what else are they going to fuck up? So they're clearly like, they wanted to prioritize diversity. We just talked about it. We just saw it with Andor, over telling us like what they're going to make a show on, what the story's about, who's it's about. We didn't even know who the main fucking character was for years, not just a year, 2 years, but we knew the cast was diverse. We didn't know that Elendil was going to be in it, Isildur, Galadriel. We didn't know. We assumed, but they never came out and said anything, but we knew the cast was diverse for 2 years. So that just tells me you ain't got nothing. You haven't fucking figured it out yet. And it wasn't until the late, great Christopher Tolkien passed in 2020 that production started ramping up. Then COVID screwed things up. But they spent the most time on those first 2 episodes that we saw. That's what they spent the most time on. So that's
and you would think that those episodes kicking off would have just grabbed you like, I have to find out what happens next. No, I mean, multiple people have mentioned to me, oh yeah, I tried to watch the second episode, fell asleep, couldn't get through it, just slow, nothing happens. One of the best moments, maybe one of the only decent moments, was between the dwarves and Elrond. The Princess Diza, the woman who plays that, she's insufferable in interviews, but the character is actually kind of fun. The interplay there is not bad, but other than that, it's God, it's just awful.
It is, and it doesn't get any better. Don't expect any character arcs. What this is mystery box. So the mystery is, who is Sauron? Is it the guy who fell from the sky? Is it Bronwyn's son Theo? Is it Halbrand? Because that's who it is. And that's pretty much it. The Harfoots are going to leave their town. They're going to be with the wizard, and they're going to be like, is he good? Is he bad? Then we saw, Slim Lady, Feminem, is part of the warrior nun class that's pursuing him, thinking he might be Sauron and going to stop him. They're elven. Bronwyn and Arendir and Theo get caught up with the orcs. You find out that there is somebody leading the orcs. There is it's an elf. And then we have a battle. So this next episode is about Queen Regent Muriel teaming up with Galadriel. After first imprisoning her, there's a bunch of forced drama. Halbrand is with her. There, we could see the island of Numenor. None of the shit should have happened. None of these characters ever met. Some of them shouldn't be alive before the forging of the Rings of Power. It's all fucked up. So they took the age and folded it in half. So the middle, the beginning, and the end could all be together. And it's fucking shit. So when there's a quote out, I can't remember the quote. Damn it. I'll put it in my next video. Where Tolkien specifically talks about, if you have to remove, and he's focusing on character, if you have to remove major elements, you have changed my story. My story doesn't exist anymore. It's in a letter that's I've shown part of it before. It's in a letter. It's a rejection letter for an adaptation. Bounding into Comics has printed it too. Hail John F. Trent. The way the son died in House of the Dragon, confused me. They didn't show it, so I thought King was lying at first. I think Smith killed him. Yeah, he. I think you're meant to think that. So in the first episode, the son they later say he dies. He only lived like a day. because of the hard childbirth. I wonder if they're going to show, like, we saw the miscarriage with Daenerys, right? And they describe the baby being like looking like a dragon with a tail and stuff. That happens a lot to Targaryens, actually. So I'm wondering if we're going to see that anytime in the future. But I think you're meant to believe that, Sebastian. It was a little confusing. They jumped right to he's dead. Like the Maester is holding him, and then he's dead. That part, a little confusing. It feels like there might have been another scene that they had to cut out, to me. Not going to argue with you there. The first 2 episodes were not perfect. A little slow in the beginning. Some cringe dialogue. TJ Riley, thank you for joining as a member. I appreciate it. We're going to do a member stream soon. Jin Korea for $19.99. Turn that machine back on and bring our real reality back, or let me pass through. Damn you, CERN. I know. Thank you for the $19.99. I blame CERN. It takes a master to create a good adaptation of a classic, but you need a genius to do a modern interpretation good. That's why most modern interpretations of classic plays suck. And let's be honest, they are no geniuses. Says Avadio. I don't want to mess up your last name. Avadio, thank you for the 20. Is it Belgian? I'm going to say pesos. I call everything a peso, just so you know. Our dollar's worth a peso right now, right, Chris?
Practically.
Ethan Rucker for $9.99. I actually enjoyed Rings of Power, and I didn't think I would. It would never be if they never promoted the diversity, I don't think people would hate it as much. My biggest pet peeve is they changed Galadriel and ugly short-haired elves. Hey, if you enjoy it, that's cool. I'm not going to get on your ass for it. I thought it was horrific beginning to end. Your main character is uninteresting, uninspiring, and what does Peter Jackson's Lord of the Rings, Ralph Bashki's Lord of the Rings? They have tons of heart. There's tons of heart because the story has tons of heart. So if you even adapt parts of it, you're going to get that heart. Bilbo's heart, Frodo's heart. Like there's tons, Sam, there's tons of it. And this thing is soulless and hollow. I think that's its biggest crime. There, right? It's boring and hollow.
It's everything wrong with corporate entertainment, which is quickly become factory filmmaking. This is where we're seeing all these franchises not able to thrive in a corporate environment. It's a single creative visionary generally, or small group of creative visionaries that are able to make something decent and watchable, and to protect the property from all the BS corporate interests trying to creep in. It's a miracle when you go back and look at the Peter Jackson's original Lord of the Rings trilogy, like that he was able to have it turn out as well as it did against all these forces around him, and that's true of anyone that's able to do something. That's why I think like a lot of the best creatives like come from indie film. They're used to working in a vacuum without having like all these corporate interests. And then the ones that survive in the studio system in Hollywood are ones that figure out how to at least placate the people trying to tell them what to do, like a James Gunn can do, or some other filmmakers like a Christopher Nolan, who's making a movie with pretty much all white people. Oppenheimer.
Yep.
I don't know if you've seen that little promo for it. I think it looks really fascinating. I have no idea what it is, but because Nolan is doing it, I'm interested. I thought his last film, Tenet, was kind of a disappointment and just weird. And he's a fan of sound mixes with things you can't understand, but still I'll see anything he does. And so I love that he just doesn't give a fuck. He's just, all right, I'm just going to do Oppenheimer. No one was asking for that. Right. So I think it's just hard to do anything. But the watching these franchises die in a corporate environment, it's a lesson. It's a lesson, because what's left now that you've got Tolkien? Like, what's left after Tolkien to destroy? I mean, Back to the Future comes up a lot. Like, they're going to reboot Back to the Future. They're going to do Back to the Future with a woman. Like, you can't do it. Story-wise, it just doesn't work. And Back to the Future baked into the story are traditional values, right? Family and whatnot. Like I don't know how you would make Back to the Future now. A woke version of Back to the Future is
They
horrifying. What's that?
found a way to make an intersectional Lord of the Rings. So I mean, they absolutely do a woke Back to the Future. I dread to think what they could do. I could come up with some horrific ideas, but I'd be afraid I'm giving them to them.
Right.
I hope for Anatar and Celebrimbor at the center. You'll probably get like a half a season of that damn monster, but that they could have done a whole season on the forging of the Rings of Power, and it would have ended tragically. Celebrimbor kind of could have been in a strange way like a Ned Stark character, character we all liked, made some mistakes, pays for those mistakes. And it could lead into something else thousands of years later. I understand their problem. I completely understand it. Most of the Second Age is just dealing with the elves. Not a lot of personality there, but that's up to the creator to make that work. And there are some out there who can. The problem is a lot of the talent is watered down in Hollywood. There's too many projects. There's all this other shit going on. But adapting Tolkien is not something just anybody can do. Peter Jackson couldn't even do it twice. He did it once. Yeah. And the Hobbit's it's already looking better, baby. It's already looking better. It is. But it's just not that easy to adapt. And you bring in like very inexperienced showrunners, and it shows. This thing is pedestrian. It's basic bitch. It's boring. They repeat dialogue. They're fucking filling time. The Harfoot's entire storyline is, oh, look, we're Harfoots. We eat berries. Man falls out of sky. We put man in cart. Man shows us constellation with fireflies. Took 2 hours to tell that story.
Yeah.
A lot of time. They get a lot of time. And then Arendir and Bronwyn are activists from Hadad. They are in a forbidden love. They tell me that like 9 times in their scene. Then they discover a town that was burned down. She leaves her son behind who has a little magic sword, and he gets caught by orcs. She goes back and slays one. The end. That took 2 hours to tell. You can tell all that shit in 15 minutes. And it's boring. And it's competition to see who is more boring. And I don't know how you make slaying an orc boring, but this show managed to do it.
That scene was just like drawn out, and also the way it was shot, it was confusing. It's like when a director is not particularly good at action, what they do is they shake the camera, or things happen so quickly as to be confusing. And when you see someone who's very good at directing action, say a Steven Spielberg or whatnot, like you can understand the geography of what's happening in the scene. And it was bad. It was just bad, like, and unremarkable. That's probably the worst offense to me, is that this Lord of the Rings series it's unremarkable and forgettable. At its best, it's unremarkable and forgettable.
Yep. Automatic win for 1999 says it's a little hard to catch up if you pay a lot of attention. That village of men in the Southlands is just east of Mordor on the map. So you can actually see what I think is Mount Doom in the background when they're there, maybe, which would put them in proximity somewhat with Gondor, right? With what will be Gondor. It's not Gondor yet, but yeah, maybe. But that was your chance. That was your chance to be diverse, and they chose not to take it. Weird. They didn't want the people who allied with Morgoth to be diverse because they didn't want to code them wrong. That is intersectionality. That is drastically changing your story. That is not being a natural storyteller. I'm not saying there can't be some white people. Like, why not? Who cares? Yeah. But that was your chance to be diverse in the way Tolkien had intended, and you didn't want because your fucking weird coding language. And it's like it. That's how the story changes. That's what we're talking about. Like House of the Dragon at least is taking chances. They're not like Corlys Valerian is not this, what I thought would be a massive Gary Sue. Or Gary Stu. He is, no, he's a devious bastard, actually a little more devious than he's presented in the books. Like, but again, it's an unreliable narrator. So whatever. But thank you, Automatic Win, for $19.99. I appreciate that. Isn't Whoopi the one who said the who deserved the what in World War II because it was a quote just white people killing each other? Yes, the Grizzly for $10. That's exactly what she said. Why would I take anyone's advice seriously who says that? And Gina Carano got fired for making an analogy that was not only truthful. It ended up panning out. If you understand the analogy. It's funny that Whoopi's just fine. Getting parts on Picard. She was in Picard season 2. I don't think she could stand up. And they had to replace her later with a younger version. And God, that was terrible. Picard season 2 was terrible. It was fucking god awful. Thank you, the Grizzly. You're awesome. It's going to be interesting how it play. Well, it's not going to be like, I know how this is going to play out. Okay. This is going to play out like this because I know what happens in the Rings of Power. Less people are going to be interested as time goes on. So we've got the usual bots on Twitter. It's funny. I've been talking about Rings of Power for 6 months straight. And then for 3 years, all of a sudden out of fucking nowhere, they even have She-Hulk sometimes in their fucking avatar. The stands come out. We'll just call them the stands out of fucking nowhere, which is, fine. It's part of the game. And as usual, and this is the pattern with every Disney Marvel show, they come out for the first 2 episodes, 3 episodes, then they're gone. It's really weird.
Didn't Elon Musk say that's like there are way more bots on Twitter than he initially thought, and even like in that thread about Rings of Power, he brings it up.
Yeah.
So
I don't know about 90%, but would I be surprised if it was 50? No. Yeah. Twitter's old. Twitter's fucking old. It was around in 2008. That's when I signed up.
Well, have you heard that theory, Gary? And not to go down some conspiracy theorist rabbit hole, but I was reading
might as well. I'm going on InfoWars.
Okay, good. There's a theory, you should look this up, that Google is the internet that is presented to us is kind of a facade. It's not completely fake. And a guy did this test where he looked up the number of results for a search, but it ends after looking past a certain amount. So you can never get like fully the number of results. It just reports results. And then what's curated at the top. So what we're seeing of the internet has been replaced kind of like the facade of a building on a studio film set. And you've seen what those look like, right? Like, so you're presented with this facade, and this is what you think the internet is presenting you. And look at all these results in this, and you're seeing only the best stuff. And but it's a complete facade. So this guy went through and did this whole sort of test searching for results and said he could only get up to a certain point, which I think was like 200 results, even though it was like tens of thousands of supposed other results out there. It was weird. So there's this theory that everything Google is showing us is kind of like, I mean, think of it's like being in a matrix, right? Like we're being presented this narrative, these stories, whatever, and it's a very curated Google for what we see. So,
it's extremely curated. They're ripping off advertisers. They're lying, and this is just purely my opinion. They're ripping off advertisers just like Facebook. They're manufacturing clicks. Yeah, you're right. It's an absolute facade. It's fake. It's fake. Remember the last people who got access to the other internet.
Right.
Silk Road. Know what happened to them? That happened to that guy's in jail for forever. I don't think he should be.
I'll try to find that thread and I'll DM you on.
Yeah. I know Jimmy from The Bright Side did a little searching for that certain date in January and proved beyond the shadow of a doubt that it's curated beyond just Google, but with Bing and with Yahoo as well. Like the same results would come up over and over again, like the exact same, which shouldn't be possible, but it is. Much of the social history of the Western world over the past 3 decades has been the history of replacing what worked with what sounded good. Thomas Sowell. Ooh, Sith cake for $10. I like that Thomas Sowell guy. I like the cut of his jib. We got Pedro Castanagro. Sorry, I just fucked up your last name. Try to say my last name. Mate, do you think we'll be getting sorry, Pedro. Do you think we are all getting old and these stories are not as shiny and fantastic as we were when you're younger? Just trying to make sense out of this. I mean, that's certainly a factor of it. Like, we're older. We're also more, I don't know if shiny and newer doesn't always mean better. Like, there's lots of signs that we are that Hollywood is in degradation. It's an entropy. Everything gets into entropy. And I think we're there. So yeah, I factor that in. I that was my first question to myself when I walked out of The Force Awakens. And it was before I was into all this. I'm like, I just didn't like that movie. I wanted to like it like crazy. I really wanted, I saw all the enthusiasm. I'm like, man, those people are really loving it. Maybe I missed something. Maybe I'm old. Maybe that's it. Maybe it's just my time has passed. And that's what I chalked it up to. Then I watched it again, because all these people are like, watch it again. I watched it again. I'm like, no, I just don't like it that much. You know, it just seems like a repeat. And years later, I figured out why. I mean, Chris, this is for corporate entertainment, not for, I can't speak to the independent sphere, which is getting drowned out, unfortunately. This is the worst area I've ever seen in my life.
100%. I mean, mainstream Hollywood movies have sucked throughout the years, mainly because of, I don't know, just a profound lack of ideas, which results in 2 asteroid movies coming out at the same time, you know, among other things, right? So Hollywood has sucked, but I thought it was sort of just like just a lack of vision and imagination. Now it's sucking for completely different reasons. Someone in the chat earlier, and first of all, hail to the chat.
Hail to the chat.
Hail to the chat. Love the chat. Someone was talking earlier about like watching the X-Files, and the X-Files had a lot of woke messaging and was diverse, but they weren't pointing it out. But didn't seem so forced. It wasn't so forced, right? Like, sure, there are things that were liberal in their thinking, but it wasn't like the message, it wasn't woven around the message being the most important thing, right? It was, the story was the most important thing. It was always the story and entertaining an audience and taking you on a journey with a character that you care about. Now that everything sort of starts with the message, and then everything is built around that, which is why the new Rings of Power is just so weak, in my opinion. So yeah, I mean, that stuff has always been there, but like now Hollywood sucks for a completely different reason, where I think it's rejected the main audience that has supported it for years and completely not like kept those, you know, what the audience is looking for in mind, and weaving the messaging in a way more overt and on the nose way.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think X-Files is that woke.
Right.
Go out and say it. I disagree with that. Like, some of those messages were there in the 90s, but the whole thing's about conspiracy theories and stuff.
Right.
The writer of the show, it's what made the show work is you could tell he believed that shit. Like, some of that stuff he was actually into. He was well versed. I mean, the X-Files is fucking Art Bell, the show. Okay. So they took a lot from Art Bell. And surprisingly enough, Art Bell never complained that man, they've been listening to my show, and they just incorporated everything from my show into a TV show, and it worked, and it was absolutely. But that's the difference between like Independence Day. It's a fun film, but the aliens are hollow because the director and the writer both said, "Oh, I don't believe in UFOs. They're all bullshit." I'm like, you know, You know, Spielberg at the time totally bought into the UFO stuff with Close Encounters of the Third Kind, and it fucking showed. And he had UFO people in it. You know, if you're going to make a movie on a subject, you can actually buy into it, or you can just be a poser. So Independence Day, great speech, fun movie. Everybody thinks on it fondly, but I've always fucking hated the aliens and the concept of them. And it's because the writers and producers just wanted to make an alien movie. They didn't believe in that shit. You don't have to. You don't have to, but it's a great analogy of why these people are taking on Tolkien and superhero movies. That it's not believing in it. It's believing in it. It's being a fan of it, like understanding that there's a fandom that truly loves this. Most people still look down on us. You know, Chad put it in his video. Most people still look down on us. They still don't like us. They're just suffering us right now because we're the money. We're making them money, but they can't hide it. They can't hide their disdain. So we have Disney Marvel calling its own fans incels. Because you can't even the best of the best cannot, when you really fucking hate something and disdain something, you can't hide it that much. And they just come out and say, I hate it. That's usually what happens. We love this stuff. We love this stuff. We love She-Hulk. We love Galadriel. We'd love to see a proper adaptation with these characters. Wouldn't have a problem with it. And no, you know, using being literal, you know, like, well, we don't want, I don't need every word of the lore adapted exactly how it was. Never said that. Never said that. It needs to remain in the spirit. This is not in the spirit of Tolkien. It's not even in the spirit of like a good show. It's not even in the spirit of art. It is repurposed crap. That's all it is. Amazon contradicted their own justification for POCs as Harfoots. If the reason given is Tolkien describing them as having browner skin, then why the fuck are there white Harfoots? Yep. Well, because they're a culture. They're not a race, except they're a breed. They're a breed of hobbit. They fucking that they are hobbits. So no, they messed it up. And is Arendir the only EOC? Only elf of color, Don Lemonlas? That's awkward. How'd that happen? The show having Elrond not attend during the Force wedding makes the Hugo Weaving Elrond meme even funnier. It does. It does. And that's why, you know, like having two Durins, that's the kind of shit that doesn't bother. That's a change you can make that could work. Somebody's knocking at my door. I gotta wait. Evilio. I'm just gonna say Evilio. But like to go back on that, there's changes that work. Like I've got no problem with Arwen taking Glorfindel's big moment. I just don't care. I didn't care back then. The OneRing.net cared, which is kind of funny. But because it worked. Because it worked. Ultimately, it worked. If this was a good TV show, none of us would be bitching. We'd go, you know what? We were wrong. This show's fucking awesome. Now there are a certain percentage of people think that we actually like it and we're just lying about it because we just want to hate it. No, I genuinely, thoroughly dislike this show. And if it was good, I'd tell you. House of Dragon, it's good. I'm telling you that. I don't know if you've been around the channel for a long time. I was pretty hard on Game of Thrones. Been pretty hard on George R.R. Martin. Been pretty fucking hard. And I still remind in every one of my videos, I'm going to remind you how many days it's been since the release of Dance with Dragon because I'm not letting that go. It takes a master to create. I read that one. Okay. That was a good. Things suck. We're going to have to roll out of here in a few minutes because of my heart out. How you doing, Chris?
I'm doing great, man. Doing great. With you and whatnot. It's good to do a stream, a lofty free stream. I'm just really
it's nice.
I bust his balls, but I admire him sticking to his guns. I don't agree with him, but you know, I will see. I think maybe it'll take him a few more episodes to get to where we are, but we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, I have an advantage over him. I do. I know what happened in the fucking series. Yeah, like that's a distinct advantage I have over him and some other people. But there's shills out there who know what I know. They know what I know, and they're trying to play it off like they don't. Like things might get better there. And there it is. But like been very upfront. I am a biased human being and I know what happens and it sounds fucking terrible. It sounds terrible. And it's not like spoilers. Remember we heard the Game of Thrones season 8 spoilers and we're like, oh good God almighty, that cannot be what happens. But it's still that there's a little question in your mind whether it's true. They ended up being completely true, by the way. This isn't like now that I've seen the first 2 episodes and the person me and Az and I talked to like was 100% right on everything they told us. Wow. As soon as you confirm the bullying, because I missed the first 2 minutes, I'm all, did she get bullied? And you said yes. I'm like, everything was right.
And it's such a lame bullying thing. That whole it took that, like I was saying earlier, like everything in the show takes twice as long as it should take. They just linger on scenes with unnecessary dialogue, and that scene was just like, okay, we get it. We get it. Wow. Oof.
Reset the cripple for $20 says the underlying message of the X-Files was I want to believe, aka faith. It was integral to both main characters, but in different ways. Not to mention the don't trust the government message as well. It had a lib and con message. Yes, it was normal television. It was balanced.
Yes.
It was made for the general public, regular old people. That's it. And that's why it was, went on a little too long.
Mm-hmm.
I wish they would fix that last season they did a couple of years ago, which just ended in like, what?
And the forgettable movies. The movies were just such a disappointment. Everyone sort of promised like, oh, it's going to sort of complete the story. And it's just like, no, those X-Files movies were not. I don't remember like.
And the 2 seasons they put out, there was like a couple of like just all-time great episodes that were standalone that were just like all-time great episodes. So, and then the the Mythos episodes, like nowhere. I like. One ends with a plague, and then the other one, I think they get it. I can't even remember now. I reviewed them, and I can't remember. They get abducted at the end, or some shit. And that's it. And then we were supposed to get another season. Never happened. And Gillian Anderson said she's not coming back.
Right.
I know it ain't easy, but one day these conversations will influence the future producers and directors of America. You and Chris keep up the great work. Everyone, please check out Film Threat and Chris's interviews. Yes, please do.
Thanks.
White Bear for $20. Link in the description. Subscribe to this man. This is a legend. This guy's a fucking legend.
All right. Well.
Yeah, I know.
Thank you. No, it's just I'm embarrassed when that. But I will be live streaming later this afternoon about 1 p.m. Pacific time. We do our show called Hollywood on the Rocks. I'm going to talk about like House of the Dragon versus Rings of Power, but also we're going to review. You don't even know about this one, Gary. The Tom Hanks Pinocchio movie that's on Disney Plus.
Yeah,
I've seen it. It is god awful.
It's Robert Zemeckis too, right?
Robert Zemeckis, but he did like horrible Polar Express movie with the sort of dead-eyed animation. It was just weird. And this Pinocchio movie is horrific. This live action. So Tom Hanks is live action. It's all digital animation. And the Pinocchio, the character design is exactly like the 2D animated classic film. I'll get into it, like how horrific this thing is. It's super woke. It's very diverse. It's everything that's wrong in Hollywood wrapped into one thing with Tom Hanks. I don't know how. I'm sure it's just because he trusts Zemeckis and they've worked together. So we'll be talking about that. And we're also going to be talking about, I have seen My Son Hunter, which is the Hunter Biden film. I think it's out today, actually. It's out today or yesterday. So on video on demand, Gina Carano's in it. I have some problems with the film, maybe more than a few, but we'll talk about it. It's not, it's so funny on the Film Threat Instagram. All we did was do a post of the poster from My Son Hunter.
Yeah.
And a bunch of people freaked out. And I'm like, it's just a poster for a movie. It's not going to hurt you. And I've always considered Film Threat to be politically agnostic. I mean, we cover plenty of films that are woke, plenty of films that are feminist or whatnot. You know, I tend to not review those movies. We have other writers that cover those, but we're a politically agnostic film outlet. And I've tried to keep it that way, where we review everything. Okay.
Yeah.
So we reviewed What is a Woman? We talked about Matt Walsh's movie, What is a Woman? So, you know, I have things I like stuff that's like, I like a lot of cheesy exploitation stuff. I think that the My Son Hunter movie kind of fits in it's an exploitation movie.
Yeah.
Dude, if Scorsese made that movie with like just using some of the bits of the real story, it would be epic. It would be so cool. This is sort of a low budget Scorsese wannabe, but I'll talk about it later with Alan. He saw it as well. But this Pinocchio movie, and you're probably never going to see it, and you shouldn't, because it'd be a waste of your time. But it's everything. You think the stuff is bad, it just in like the Rings of Power stuff. It's infected this is why Disney Plus is like why I don't know why. Like I know my subscription runs out because I got that early deal. And I just don't care. But like, holy crap, if no one is going to sign up to see Tom Hanks in a woke Pinocchio. Like no one's going to see Pinocchio.
Yeah. And isn't it weird? Tom Hanks cast in a movie about an old man who wants his little doll to be.
Okay. I'm going to point that out when I talk. It's kind of creepy. There's a scene where he's dancing. He's so excited. He has a young boy. And I'm watching this going like, okay, I know this is like just like the cartoon, but seeing an old Tom Hanks as an old man being ecstatic he has a young boy, I'm thinking like, so when does he smell his hair? You know, like it felt creepy and off. There's something about it that just felt like this is bizarre. And there's weird stuff in the original Pinocchio because Walt Disney used to sneak in weird shit all the time. You know about the whole theory about Disney butts, right? You know that? It's not a theory. That Walt Disney figured out when he put like cute animal butts, it would make young children giggle and then the whole audience would laugh, right? So like almost every early Disney movie has like Thumper's butt. Now it's innocent, right? But that is like every animator knows about the stuff that animators would sneak into stuff like that. And butts, animal butts and other butts were a big thread. Just look up Disney butts. You'll see like,
yeah,
it's weird. It's weird.
It's weird. It's weird. And that's why like I've just never been into the kid animated stuff with Disney because I've always found it a little weird. But that's me.
Fair enough, man.
And their resurgence later on, I was older. I've told this 1,000 times. I had no kid. I was in my 20s and I Quentin Tarantino films. That's all I wanted to fucking watch. I wanted to see violent fucking drug deals gone bad and, fantasy and sci-fi. It's always, I've never been a drama guy.
Right.
I've never been a guy like, oh, here's a very sad mother sitting at a table talking to a very sad son. It's like, I could remember shit from my life. I don't need they don't even do it well. Like extraordinary, like The Godfather, which is magic.
Yeah. I mean, well, my kids were young in the 90s, so I saw all those 90s Disney, anime. They're basically Broadway shows. They're Broadway shows with musicals.
Yep.
Broadway musicals, but 2D animated. And, I mean, some of those, I think, some of them hold. Lion King, I think, is very good. Like, I don't like any of these new remakes. I think they're horrible. The CG animated, like Lion King and all that stuff is just Beauty and the Beast, hot garbage. It's garbage. It reminds me of when they made sequels. This was something I remember from the 90s. They all came in these clamshell VHS boxes. Cinderella 2, Snow White 2. They just made sequels to everything. And it was just some lawyer deciding, we'll sell a certain number of units. Just make it. We know it's not going to be great. And they made all that. Lion King 2. I probably watched every Land Before Time movie. And by watched, meaning it was on while my kids were, I'm just sitting there like, oh my God, get me through this, So I'm well familiar with that stuff. It's not great, but
I hit the 3D animation era with my kids, so I saw every 3D, every Pixar-ish movie
right.
for 10 years straight. And if I never see one again, I'm okay.
They're good ones. They're good ones mixed in there.
But they were like, what was the one with the cheese? The Box Trolls. The Box Trolls was good.
My daughter loves the Box Trolls. Loves it.
Was good. Yeah, there's some good ones in there, but okay. So Hale, I'd rather see hydrogen cars over EV. I would too, when they got squashed by the car companies. Same refill time as gas, safer than EV, costs the same as gas, can keep some infrastructure like gas stations. Yeah. There was that guy who had cars running on water and then he mysteriously died.
Yeah. And then there's like that documentary. I don't know if you ever saw like What Killed the Electric Car, Who Killed the Electric Car.
Famous one, yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. I just, I'd love to see people like an Elon Musk more in the position of making those decisions rather than basically the lobbyists telling the politicians
exactly
what they should do.
There's the urban myth of the perpetual battery that runs forever that that some battery company owns the rights to and will never release. I don't know if that's true. It's been an urban legend forever. Turn that machine back on. Oh, I read that one. CERN. I believe CERN. Yes, I think when it was turned on, we went into another reality that sucks. TJ Riley became a member. Welcome. At least we don't have to wait 2 seasons until they went full woke, which is what they've been doing. What they would do if they were smart. Hook people up. Most will not drop after they're invested, but they are so arrogant that they just want to hammer you from day one, says Avilio. Thank you again for the 50 Belgian pesos. I don't know. That could be Brazilian. I don't know. It's BGN. I don't know what a BGN is. I could say Martian peso if I don't know. But thank you. Yeah, it's insta woke. You're absolutely right. Insta woke. Bulgaria. I don't know. I saw BGN. I think Bulgaria. Okay.
Could make sense.
It says BGN. On the topic of animated movies, have either of you seen The Prince of Egypt? No, I have not seen The Prince of Egypt.
I have seen it. With my kids when they were young. I thought it was very good. That was Jeffrey Katzenberg's attempt to.
That's right.
The animation game.
Elijah Elvis for $4.99. I'm broke. Well, then why are you super chat? You have to do that. Almost. I'd rather give you guys this money than the abortion that is Rings of Power. What idiots gave these amateurs? I hate it when it does that. And I just lost it now. What idiots gave these amateurs? Jeff Bezos, Jennifer Salk hired Lindsay Weber and 2 inexperienced guys from Bad Reboot, and you got a Bad Reboot production. Bad Robot has been it's the bane of Hollywood. It is cancer. They are the destroyer of franchise. I've been saying it for years, and I'm glad a lot of people are picking up on that now. They're picking up what a lot of us have been putting down. All right, I'm gonna have to get the rest of this later. It's Bulgarian. Cheers from Eastern Europe. Thank you.
Sweet.
Hail Eastern Europe. We love you. We're international, man. International. Bezos is not pleased. Fuck Bezos. And he just wanted a trophy. That's it. And he got it. But now you know what? He got his Game of Thrones. Ultimately, he got his Game of Thrones season 8, except it's 5 of it. So be careful what you wish for. Shit. It's going to be so fun. So yeah, I'm going to be live after the episode airs, like at 2 a.m. or I don't know, or maybe, yeah. And then we're going to cover it on Friday Night Tights with Melanie Mack and Disparu.
Oh, I can't wait.
And then I'll have a video out by Sunday. House of the Dragon video will probably be out tomorrow. It's a short one, but I just feel the need to do it. I feel the need to cover something I kind of like that I didn't think I would. I just honestly didn't think I was going to like it because I don't like the source material very much, but I think they've improved on it. Well, for one, you actually have characters speaking dialogue and you know their personalities, and it's not just some maester giving you a history of this character. So, yeah, Daemon Targaryen's fucking awesome, but King Viserys, Patty Constantine did a great job this last episode.
I think everybody was surprised by House of the Dragon. I don't think a lot of people were expecting it. And someone is saying in the chat, God, I just had it. Damn. Judy Comer as Invisible Woman in the Fantastic Four. We were talking before that we started the stream. Like,
she was okay in Free Guy. She was cute. Free Guy,
and she was in The Duel as well. If you remember,
she's in a TV show, right? Where I just don't like. Sue Storm is a 12. She's supposed to be like mega hot, and I don't know if they lean into what she looked like in Free Guy. Sure, she was pretty cute in Free Guy. I'll say that.
Oh, CJ Watts. Shout out to CJ Watts.
We'll find out. Yeah, we were discussing this.
God, I hope it. I fingers, because I'm in fact, I found these old photos of me on the set of the Fantastic Four movie, the Roger Corman one. I'll post them on my like personal Instagram and Twitter at that Chris Gore. I couldn't believe it. It's like, oh, I'm going through some old photos because we're wrapping up Attack of the Dock, and like, this is from the set of Fantastic Four. I forgot I had these. So I'll post those this week, but they're supposed to announce the cast this week. At D23, there's going to be some announcements there. I'm sure it's going to be things on that should be on your radar, but because they saved some Marvel announcements for this event, we'll see exactly what those are going to be. So, I don't know. I'm just fingers crossed because Fantastic Four, that was my gateway comic. It was that and Batman, and that got me into Marvel. I'm talking about like the early 70s when I was a kid, and I could just read all the early Fantastic Four in reprint. They always do those giant size. Remember, Gary, the giant size would always have like an original story and then like a reprinted story. So I kind of had to like go back and catch up. That's when you could buy back issues of comics, and there was like, X-Men #1 was like $8 or something. You know what I mean? Like,
I remember Fantastic Four #1 being $100 in my mom.
Oh my God. Inflation.
I'll never let her forget it, because later on I had to buy it for a lot more, and I'm like, we could have had this for $100. Anakbamon for $50. I just wanted to say thanks to Chris Gore. Last month, my dad and I were going through some hard times. I'm sorry. He recommended Bullet Train. That was the escapism I needed at the time. I also want to apologize to Gary for my incoherent rant yesterday. You'd never have to apologize to me. Anakbamon, you're awesome. Thank you for the $50. I appreciate it. You're doing okay. And I like Bullet Train. I thought it was pretty good. That was entertaining.
It's a fun action movie, and that's what it's trying to be, and that's what it is. And there you go. So I'm glad. That's great. Good to hear that, Anakbamon.
Tangerine and Lemon totally stole it. So
yeah, that was good.
Very, very good. All right, we'll catch the rest later. My friends, thank you to the Modrotics. Thanks to everyone who left a super chat and donation. Thanks to everyone who spent a little bit of time with us. My next live stream will be, I guess, right after Rings of Power. It depends on if it's midnight Pacific. It's like 2 a.m. here, so I'll keep you updated. I'll keep you updated. But a lot. I don't know. A lot of people watched. We did that first one late. Right, I was up to like 2:30 in the morning, and there was a bunch of people watching. So,
damn.
Yeah,
I was watching you. It was great, man.
Thanks.
I had a stream, and I jumped off and just started watching you. It was awesome. I said, everybody go there right now. I'm going to be watching that.
So, hey, don't forget, follow Chris Gore on Twitter. We're both blue check marks now, so we're like really important people.
Wait, are you blue check mark now?
I am.
How'd you range that, Gary?
Well, I had to suck a lot of D like you did.
So the only cool thing is that they don't tell you. The only good thing about having that blue check mark, you can check everyone else who's a blue check mark who follows you. You're going to be surprised at people that are following you didn't know.
Oh, I didn't know you could. I did it on a whim a while back, and it just and it was, and I just didn't think I got it. And I'm like, good. Good. And then I'm finished watching House of the Dragon with Melissa for the second time in our home theater. I looked at my phone. I'm like, and I went, oh no. I went, oh no. I didn't think they'd actually give it to me. So it's kind of a surprise.
Wow.
It won't change me. I don't give a fuck. They can cancel. They could yeet my Twitter tomorrow and I'd probably be better off for it. So,
right. Well, so there's like a tab that you go under your followers and just, you can look at it and you can see who is, who follows you, who's also a blue check. But now you're going to have to amend, when you talk about people, the blue check marks. Now you're one. I'll tell you who's going to be really jealous is Ryan. Ryan really wants it. I know you don't care, but Ryan really wants it.
He does? Why does Ryan want it?
He's talked about it.
Then he should apply for it.
Right.
Because if they'll give it to me, they'll give it to him. I can see the tab.
So
but I'll figure it out later. I do have to go. I have
to.
Cool.
Yeah. Hey, good luck.
Shower and get up to Austin. And then take a shower after I leave Austin. But yeah, if you are a fan or not a fan of the InfoWars, I love Alex Jones. We've had him on Friday Night Tights twice. I will be on with Chrissy Mayer and Quarter Black Garrett. I do believe following our appearance is Brittany Venti. So yeah, it'll just be some YouTubers on InfoWars. We'll see how that goes. It'll be fun. I'm sure there'll be no clapback from it at all. At all.
Hey, have a great appearance on the show, Gary. Hail to the chat. Thanks. Check out Film Threat. And in 2 hours, we're going to be live streaming from there, probably while you're on the road.
While I'm on the road, I'll listen.
Cool. Love it.
All right. Thanks, everyone. Have a good day. See you Friday. Melanie Mack, Disparu, and who knows who else will show up. And also Sunday, please join Mahler and Shadiversity and yours truly for House of Dragon reviews. Got a lot of positive feedback on that. Thank you. You guys are awesome. So take care, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye.